Ideas All Day, a podcast where we, not experts, discuss our ideas and place them into piles, such as the good ideas pile, the bad ideas pile, and the ideas pile. On today's episode, we're discussing ideas of cooling down. So our intros come from quotes from Arnold Schwarzenegger during the movie Batman Forever, starting with, "Let's kick some ice." Kate.
It's very nice to meet you.
Thanks, Kate. And tonight's forecast, a freeze is coming. Alex.
Get to the chopper.
Thanks, Alex. And if revenge is a dish best served cold, then put on your Sunday finest. Me, Ajax. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hey there.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. So today's topic is ideas for cooling down. So, Kate?
Yeah, that's me.
Let's hear your ideas for cooling down.
Thanks, Ajax. Let's jump right into the cool waters of these ideas. My first idea is an idea that I use for whenever it's going to be warm and I'm leaving my cat home alone, but it's not warm enough for air conditioner. I do something known as a swamp cooler. Now, have you two ever heard of a swamp cooler?
I think of swamp ass.
No, it's not swamp ass.
Well, then I'm not interested.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what a swamp cooler is. So you get a cooler, and I have a little styrofoam cooler that I use. You put in ice in that cooler, and you shut the lid, but the lid has a hole for a fan. And in the cooler, towards the bottom, there's a hole with a tube. And what you're doing is you're forcing the air into the cooler through the ice, and then it spits out cool air. So that's a swamp cooler. I usually use that on days that's going to be like anywhere between 80 to 85, maybe even 90s if it's not going to be 90 for long for the cat. Because
How well does it work?
if you're sitting right in front of it, it works fine. You're not going to cool a whole house with this, but like push comes to shove, it'll cool you down a bit. So idea number one, swamp cooler. Idea number two, I just struggled for about 2.5 hours putting in my AC unit in my window at my apartment. The reason I have such a difficult time with my AC unit is my AC unit is brand new. It has perfect angles. It is straight. It's a wonderful air conditioning unit. No faults, no problems. Problem is, I live in a 100-year-old house with original windows. So after 100 years, you can imagine that the windows have warped. The windows aren't very straight, and there are a lot of problems fitting something that is perfectly straight in a non-perfectly straight situation. So fitting a brand new AC unit in a 100-year-old window is difficult because it doesn't fit straight lines. There's no way to get it perfectly balanced. So there's always these horrible gaps whenever I put in the window unit. And I try my best to fill those gaps with weather stripping or other kind of insulation materials, cardboard box covers, what have you. So my next idea is to develop a product that will take any kind of window unit, and when you put it in the window, will then have like almost like a spray insulation that's safe for AC units. Because there's nothing that I hate more than having my air conditioner on and I can see the outside of my window, like see through to the outside. And it's like I'm just throwing money out the window, and I hate that. So if there's a way I can create some kind of spray insulation that is safe on AC units, or if I can develop some kind of foam one piece that just slides over the AC unit, like it's just a cutout for the AC unit, but fills up the rest of the gaps, I would love that. So not necessarily is it keeping me cool, it's just helping me make my air conditioner more efficient to keep me cool, which I will probably be running it tonight. So yay. So that was idea number 2, like a form-fitting AC unit insulation package. Idea number 3 comes from my supervisor. He is a well-traveled man. He has been all over the world, has seen some really, really hot places that don't have AC available. So when I was talking about this topic, I'm like, yeah, I wonder how people like get cool in the middle of these really hot climates. And he's like, well, they just jump in like a lake or a river. So get wet is my next idea. So if you can have the ability to just get wet, you'll cool yourself off pretty quickly. A cold shower, a cold bath. If you don't have a bath, if you have a Tupperware container, like a tub, you can just plop in that. If you have a pool, even better. So getting wet really kind of helps. And then for my last idea, so the one thing I hate about my AC unit is that it cools off the whole room. And I like to be in other places in my place, but it only cools off the one room. So as a result, like I would have to buy more air conditioning units, and that's even more money being thrown out the window. So I really want to develop an AC unit suit. So like instead of like having a window unit, I want to create like a suit that you wear. Like imagine a sauna suit that has air conditioning inside. And no matter where you go, the air conditioning's running. So that way I'm always cool no matter where I'm going. If I'm in the office, I can just turn it off because my office is fully air conditioned. But if I go back home and I got to do stuff around the house, I can turn on the AC suit and there I go. I'm instantly cool. So those are my ideas.
Great job, Kate. Thanks for your ideas.
Thank you. Alex, why don't you pile on my ideas first?
I would love to. For your first idea, for the swamp cooler, as you call it, this one, well, the way you described it sounds very, with the cooler, the thing, the tubing, sounds very complicated. And the fact that it has nothing to do with swamp ass immediately makes it go in the bad ideas pile. Just like straight in there. I want more swamp ass all the time, all day, every day. Swamp ass 24/7.
I just want to let our listeners know that Alex's opinions do not necessarily mean that they're the opinions of the entire podcast. Not all of us appreciate swamp ass as much as Alex does.
If swamp ass is out there and wants to sponsor us, I would gladly accept your money and donations. So to swampass.com, 10% off, promo code Alex.
That's
Check out.
probably a website that there's no promo code, listeners, just FYI.
Oh my God. That'd be,
We cannot guarantee what is on that website. Go at your own risk.
It's available for sale in case anyone needs it.
That should be our website.
Yeah. Hey, check out ideas all day at swampass.com.
That's going in the bad ideas pile.
I think it's a great idea.
I want nothing to do with swampass.com.
Enough about swamp ass. We've talked about it enough. Let's move on to your second idea of having a AC insert / foam / just something to help with AC units going into irregular shaped holes, as it were. Yeah, this is a good idea. I mean, again, it's one of those things where you don't think about it when you're getting it until you realize what the issue is. And I know a lot of ACs have the little, sometimes we'll have the accordion style for the sides, but they don't always have stuff on the bottom. And normally you're putting like pieces of wood. There is spray foam you can like in a can you can get, but you have to remove it every single time. It has to, it can get a little cumbersome. I mean, for small gaps, it's probably good. And if you don't mind just having to redo it every year, it's not too bad. But if it's something where this is a long haul kind of thing, an insert without just getting your windows redone, assuming you own the house, it's not a bad idea. So I'm going to put this in the good ideas pile. It's a problem most a lot of people may not have, but probably a good number of people do have, and I think it's worth at least exploring. Or AC manufacturers should maybe include that with their ACs. Your third idea of getting wet, just getting wet some way, shape, or form with a cold, damp cloth, or a pool or something, I guess is what you brought up, a cold shower. I'm going to put this one in the ideas going towards good because, yes, it will cool you down. But again, sometimes it can lead to bad decisions. There could be safety concerns. You can get hypothermia. You go from hot to really, really cold all of a sudden. Your body temperature drops. You're going into shock and someone's got to call the ambulance. I mean, that's a very unusual thing, but still bad things can happen or bad decisions. Sometimes when you're getting wet, things can get out of hand and people get pregnant.
You bring up a good point though. Like everybody should be aware of what like heat stroke feels like and like what recognizing that yes, you need to do something immediately or no, I'm just uncomfortable. Because I accidentally gave myself heat stroke once and I didn't know I was giving myself heat stroke and it was not a good time. So yeah, knowing the signs of like heat stroke is probably super important. So listeners, you should probably know those signs. I'll try to post that on our Instagram with this episode, but I can't make any promises because I'll forget.
Yes, and that's why I brought up hypothermia. And for your last idea of the AC suit. Now, I was thinking about having this as an idea similar to this, like a fan suit, but those already exist. And they vary in a lot of prices. They're not the best looking ones, especially ones with the fans, because you got the vents versus an AC, which probably would have a smaller one, or they just don't look comfortable, very intrusive looking. They're right there. The vent holes are there. They look all puffed up. They don't look very good. So if you can make something that's low enough profile or you can't tell there's an included AC, I would love this. This would be amazing. So, and I didn't really, in my quick search of it, when I was thinking of the idea as well, I didn't really see anything that wasn't like outrageously expensive. And even those still didn't look all that great. So if it's something with a coolant system that is not dangerous in case it leaks, I think that'd be a great idea. So yeah, like a water cooled one would probably work better because if it gets leaked, oh well, it's water. And then you'd get wet. So yeah, I'm going to put that one actually in the good ideas pile. I think it's something that could be explored and, more to be done with it. And those are my pilings.
Thanks, Alex. Ajax, why don't you give us your pilings of my ideas?
Yes, I will gladly give you my pilings, your ideas. Swamp cooler. Well, since you've done this before, and since you repeated this action in a few times, and you've continued to repeat this action to make this swamp cooler, which I'm still in my head calling it a swamp ass cooler. But I'm going to put this in the good idea pile since you have not stopped doing it. And I feel like you would not perpetuate bad ideas because you know what bad ideas are now.
It's true. I know what bad ideas are. And on top of that idea, I use recyclable or reusable ice packs. So I'm not using water. So it's less messy than using actual ice cubes.
And you're not using limited resources.
Exactly. I'm using those reusable ice packs that work like a charm.
That was a good idea for me. For your second idea of foam fitting AC insulation, I think you need a moon mat for that because moon mats are nice and form fitting.
No, they're holy though.
They're holy, but not if you have it sideways. Depends on the angle that you put a moon mat at. So I feel like this is a perfect job for a moon mat.
No,
and
I
since
disagree.
it's automatically, well, if there's no moon mats involved, this has to go into the bad ideas pile.
That's
I was going to
fine.
give it a good ideas pile, but since there's no moon mats involved,
the moon mat would not be the sufficient thing to solve the issue of air coming in through the window or cold air going out the window. Moon mat, if you want to sponsor us, you can do so at ideasallday.com. We love moon mats.
ideasallday.podcast@gmail.com. We don't have a .com site yet. Eventually it might be
swampass.com. Moon mat, you can contact us at ideasallday.podcast@gmail.com. We love moon mats here, but this is not a job for a moon mat.
I think it still could be.
Just so you know, it's no longer at Gmail. It's ideasalday@swampass.com.
It's Ideas All Day Podcast at smartpass.com. Have you bought the domain as we've been sitting here? Because that would be
I wish.
interesting.
Oh, then we can
I
actually say it
wish.
as so.
Yeah, it's good then.
I mean, just because of that change of events right there, a bad idea. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I understand.
Okay. So for your third idea of getting wet on that good idea pile on all aspects of that statement. And for 4, for your AC suit, I'll put in the idea pile. I'm not quite sure of the structure of it yet, so I'm not quite getting the full picture in my head zone. But I mean, I wouldn't mind going inside in an AC suit if I was hot.
Imagine a spacesuit, but with air conditioning inside.
I could only wear that for probably maybe a couple minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you claustrophobic?
Sometimes. And also I get cold very fast.
You do.
I have very poor thermoregulation, so that'd be a quick cool down.
You are very much a little heater, though.
Mm-hmm.
You give off a lot of heat.
Mm-hmm. So those are my pilings.
Thank you so much for your pilings, Ajax.
Ta-da.
Alex, why don't you give us your ideas?
All right. So for my ideas, to start with, what's one of the best ways to get away from the heat is to literally get away from the heat. So my first idea is move to Alaska. The summer, although can get into the 70s and 80s, for the most part, you're not going to be in there in that kind of temperature range for very long. And in fact, you're going to be even in the dark a lot of the time of the year and be even colder in the winter time. So you're never going to have to worry about it as much. So to minimize your time in the heat, move to Alaska. And I hear it's beautiful there. So that's also a plus. Now, for my second idea, it still involves moving, but instead of having to move all the way to Alaska, I say, why not just live in a cave? A lot of times when you live underground, the temperature in underground areas actually means relatively cool and stable throughout the year. I mean, if you ever go into someone's basement in the middle of summertime, it can be like 20 degrees cooler sometimes. I know with my basement, I can go down there while I'm doing laundry. It is wonderful. It could be 100 degrees out. All of a sudden, it's like 75 in my basement. It's awesome. So if you have like a nice refinished basement, it could be just your little home away from home, or live in a cave. If it works for Batman, it would be good enough for me, is what I'm saying. And then if it means I have to, drive a cool car and fight crime in a crazy suit with nipples, that's just what we're going to do. On to my third idea. What I would say is that maybe sometimes temperature is just a number. So what I'm proposing to do is it's all about mind over matter. What you should do is put on extra layers. You want to put on layers on layers on layers. You think of it because you got to believe it's like 0 degrees out. You got to think it is sub-zero temperatures. You got to really think it's not hot out. In fact, it's freezing. So you got to play the part, go full in. You're not going to be sweating. You're just going to be living like it's January 2020 all over again. So extra layers with a mind over matter caveat. Number 4, build a mud pit. I mean, this is something that's been used by pigs on farms and out in the wild for ages. It's cool. It's good for your skin. And if it's good enough for pigs, guess what? Then it's going to be good enough for me. And that's what they do to keep cool. So why not use the same thing? And they do pretty well with it. And last, but certainly not least, just never leave the house. Since you're typically going to be, if you're inside, you're always going to be in some form of shade. And most likely your house is going to be at least a few degrees cooler than the outside. So just if you never leave, you're always going to be that much cooler. And you can put fans, you can put AC in. If you go outside, you can't control the weather. You can't control the sun or the temperature out there, but you can keep it controlled inside your house. And, considering we had dealt with the pandemic, we are all used to being inside for long periods of time. Never leave. You don't have to worry about the heat. And those are my ideas.
Thanks, Alex. Ajax, why don't you do Alex's pilings first?
All right. So for your first idea of moving to Alaska, I am definitely put this in the idea pile. Mostly, I mean, it's got bald eagles there. Plus, you got some cool, possibly Inuit lifestyles. But The idea pile because of all the mosquitoes, or I like to call them mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
And I don't know if I want to deal with all the mosquitoes. Nothing against Alaska, and it's not like I don't want to visit the place, but I'm not sure if I want to live there yet. So ideas pile, because me and mosquitoes are not the besties. So your second idea of living in a cave, you had me at suits with nipples. Come on. Good ideas all around.
Yeah.
Nipple suits. Got it.
Suits.
Yeah. All right. For your third idea of wearing layers, this is going straight into the bad ideas pile. Layers suck during the hot. And they might. I mean, I might not have had enough layers to get to this point to know that layers are beneficial during the hot. I'm still in the mindset of removing layers to get to the cooler factors. So I've not changed yet. I am of old school thinking.
Sometimes you gotta rethink what's common knowledge and start thinking beyond that.
No, I know. I'm not there yet. So it's bad ideas. So your fourth idea of building a mud pit. Now, this has got possibilities for opportunities of fun. So it's at least ideas leaning towards good. I can't put it directly into the good ideas pile because it might be dangerous, and we might not have thought of all the possible things that could happen in said mud pit.
Mm-hmm.
So not as straight good ideas, but almost there. And for your fifth idea of never leaving the house, or what I call summer quarantine,
mm-hmm.
I'll put in the ideas pile. I don't want to put it in the good ideas pile or bad ideas pile because people might be getting heated about that stuff now. I'm not going to go either way. I'll get totally hate mail for that. So I'm going to put it for the ideas pile just because people have different ideas of a quarantine and how they feel about that now. And that's my pilings. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Ajax. What about you, Kate? What are your pilings for my wonderful, amazing ideas?
Yeah, let me run down these ideas right quick here. Your first idea, move to Alaska. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile leaning towards bad from a personal perspective. The reason that I'm putting it leaning towards bad is I don't like the cold. So Alaska gets a little cold. They get some snow. I have a brother who lives in Alaska, so when I go visit him, I might change my mind and move this to the good ideas pile. But as of right now, it's my understanding Alaska's cold. It's kind of far away. And it's a little expensive for the cost of living because everything has to be flown in and shipped in and all that fun stuff. But I can't wait to go visit Alaska. I'm excited. If you guys want to come with me, let me know next August.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going with my parents, but if you guys want to come, we'll make arrangements. But yeah, so ideas leaning towards bad for the perpetual winter part of Alaska.
Oh, maybe we can have a podcast in Alaska.
We could do an Alaska podcast.
And then ideas for Alaska while we're doing at the podcast.
Ideas while visiting Alaska.
Yeah.
Come see the salmon. I got nothing.
That's an idea.
It's an idea. Idea number 2, live in a cave. I'm going to actually put this in the ideas pile because when you were talking about the basement situation, I desperately, when I have my own home, I desperately want to have a finished basement specifically for this reason. So I can if I have to, I can sleep there in the night, or I can just hang out in my finished basement and not have to use the AC all the time. Yeah, caves, underground areas tend to be cooler than the rest of the surface area. Earth ships, I think they're called, are homes made out of the side of a mountain. They're super cool because they're partially underground. And yeah, so ideas. I don't think I would want to live in an actual cave, but if it's anything like Gold Diggers, Escape from Bear Mountain kind of living situation, I could rock a cave. Idea number 3, add layers, mind over matter. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile leaning towards bad. The reason it's in the ideas pile, depending on the temperature, this might actually work. If it's not too hot, Like if you start your day wearing a light coat and then it starts to get warm and then you take off that coat, it is kind of like, oh, this is nice. This is refreshing. Taking off that coat. But if it's 100 degrees out, I'm not going to put a sweatshirt on just to try to trick my mind into thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. Because that's how you give yourself heat stroke. So ideas leaning towards bad. Build a mud pit. This is kind of going in the ideas pile. I feel like where you could build a mud pit, you could easily just put a kiddie pool and just get wet. So instead of a mud pit, just back to my original idea and just get wet with a kiddie pool. No petty. Idea number 5, never leave the house. This is an idea leaning towards good. For temperatures that are exceedingly hot, if you don't have to go out into the heat, it's probably best you don't go out into the heat. But if it's like an 80-degree day, 85-degree day, even a 90-degree day, that's not too bad. You can go out, you can go to the grocery store, even like going out earlier in the day while it's cooler, that's fine. But in the middle of the hottest part of the day, during the hottest part of the heat wave, staying inside is probably your best bet. Because once again, as Alex said, you have your fans, you have your air conditioning, you can control the climate in your living situation. Whereas when you're outside, you're at the mercy of Mother Nature. So ideas leaning towards good. So those were my pilings of Alex's ideas.
Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
All right. So for my first idea, this is a job for Alan. I want him to be waving a huge fan with the big feathery plumes, just waving it, following me around and waving. I would pay Alan at least minimum wage to do that, just to follow me around with like a fan. It's on a hot day. At least minimum wage. I might even go like $20 an hour for that one. So Alan, if you're listening, I'll take that. For my second idea, it was something that Kate already said. I just said pool as my idea because that's how I get cool during any given hot day. I will jump at the pool. But this also falls along the lines of Kate's get wet statement. So pool is my idea. My third idea is also with Chris, who I cohabitate on the place that I live at. And this idea is ice pack underpants. And get the vision, get it in your head. And then so for my fourth idea is my most favorite thing in the world. Snow cones. I love snow cones. I'll eat snow cones. I'll get cool in the winter, in the summer, in the spring, and in the fall with snow cones. Any day, every day. Snow cones they brighten up my life with their snowy and their cones and their delicious flavor. So yeah, those are my ideas for cooling down.
Thanks, Ajax. Let me pile your ideas.
Can't wait to hear it.
Idea number 1, Alan waving a fan. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile leaning towards good. Like, I feel like Alan's super busy, but I think he would want a break from lifting people all day. So I feel like this would be a nice like break from the monotony of someone being strapped to his chest all the time. Gives his back a break, but gives his arms a workout. So yeah, leaning towards good. I feel like you need to pay Alan all he is worth. Don't try to like cut corners with Alan. And if anything, you should be also tipping him on top.
I'll tip while he's on top.
Idea number 2, pool. Obviously, this is going in the good ideas pile. And then it's a great way to get wet. And who doesn't like to get wet? Idea number 3, Chris's idea of ice pack underpants. This is going ideas leaning towards bad. And the reason it's leaning towards bad is I have a concern of frostbite. You're not supposed to have ice packs directly on the skin. If there is a way to put this ice pack underwear on without getting any kind of freezer burn or any kind of skin damage.
What if they had a liner?
It depends on the liner. Otherwise, yes, I would think this was a great idea. I mean, getting that area cooled down would be a big help because that area is usually hot. I don't know. It needs a little cool down. But like I said, until we get an engineer and we figure out how to prevent freezer burn
The genitals.
of the genitals, I don't want my my genitalia frozen. So yeah, ideas leaning towards bad. Idea number 4, snow cones. Yes, great idea. Love snow cones. I would even go as far as saying, like, I will eat snow cones without any flavoring just to cool down. I will just eat the ice part of the snow cone. It doesn't even need all the additional calories of whatever the syrup that they use. So yeah, snow cones, great idea. And those are my pilings of your ideas.
Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
Alex, how would you pile my ideas?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So why don't we get started with your first idea of Alan waving a fan for you. Number 1, let's go straight in the bad ideas pile for multiple reasons. Number 1, you were going to minimum wage him? How dare you? He deserves so much better than that for everything he's done and continues to do to support everyone
as an
around us.
entry-level position.
No, he doesn't. No, in fact, let's turn this on its head. You should be paying him for you to fan him. That's how much he deserves to get that treatment. And you should pay to even be able to give it to him because he's that good. He's that important and special. And the fact that you are trying to not only like shortchange him, you're also making him work more when his important work you're actually taking him away from. Because if he's going to be on the clock, I would think he want to be like helping people like he always does, rather than just worrying about making you.
How is this not helping me? It's cooling me down, walking with me while he's cooling me. I feel like this is amazing.
No, you can fan yourself, but these other people who can't walk and he's carrying around on his back, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, and you just want to get fanned by him and pay him minimum wage while doing it? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. You should be.
I'm always ashamed of myself.
You should be fanning him. So this is going straight in the bad ideas pile, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. God. I'm done. I'm done talking about it because you just upset me. Now, on your second idea, which again, I don't understand this one. The pool. I don't know what billiards has to do with you kind of cooling anything down, but I suppose being in a pool hall is a little bit nicer.
If you want to get me wet, you get me to a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Hall?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
All those rods and balls.
Lots of sticks and balls.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of banging.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm going to put in the ideas pile because I like billiards, which is why I'm okay with it. But at the same time, I don't understand how it keeps you warm, your cool down, other than just being an air-conditioned pool hall. So
you can put the balls in your pits.
Yeah, but they're not going to cool you down.
They might.
They're probably just going to get shock underneath it.
If you refrigerate your balls first,
that would work. That would help. I may be a little uncomfortable, but yeah, it would work. So again, ideas. Put in the ideas pile. For number 3, your ice pack underwear. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile going towards bad, mostly because I can only imagine the intense amount of shrinkage that I know you guys don't have to deal with, but 50% of the population on the planet do. And sometimes it can be rather uncomfortable with that level of shrinkage. So
couldn't there be like a cup device though that like kind of
that was not brought up? That was not brought up.
Protects the boys design. From the cold.
I don't know. But all I know is that wasn't brought up in the original design. Secondly, the other reason it's there is because I can only imagine with how, even with the thinner ones, it's going to look like you're wearing a diaper. So you're going to have a diaper look while you're walking around with your ice pack underwear.
Only if you're crinkling, it's good.
I don't know what that means, but...
well, the diaper crinkles.
Okay. Well, yeah, but it's the volume of your ice pack. And then as the ice pack cools down and the liquid just becomes liquid, it's going to start drooping. And then you're going to look like you have a sake diaper. And that's all. You're going to say, that person either is wearing a diaper or has got the ice pack underwear. Either way, it's embarrassing. It still does the purpose, so it doesn't go in the bad ideas pile because it does do the job. So it's only going, the ideas going towards bad because of the other negatives that I've pointed out. And your last idea, the snow cones. I'm going to put this in the ideas going towards good pile because, again, it's a wonderful treat, cools you down, but the ice cream headaches I've gotten from those damn things is awful. Awful. Just, I can't, oh,
You
God.
mean
Just
brain freeze?
ice cream headache, brain freeze. What?
What's
It's
an
the same
ice cream
shit.
headache?
It's
the same
not.
thing.
It's not an ice cream headache if it's
Fine.
from a snow cone.
It's a snow cone.
Fine. Brain freeze. It's a
Thank
brain
you.
freeze. Either way,
Thank
it's still a negative that comes up from it. Even though it's wonderful, it's still a
It's really
negative.
worth it,
that
though.
not always for me.
Mm.
I'd rather have something else that didn't cause that, like a glass of water.
Something that gets you
Mm-mm.
wet.
If there is
Something that
something
gets me wet,
that's
yeah.
a way into my heart, it's snow cones.
Okay. Well, I'll keep that not in mind and not have snow cones.
Also, snow cones can get you wet.
Mm-hmm.
And sticky.
Definitely sticky.
Nice, sticky, wet
Mm-hmm.
snow cones.
So yeah, those are the pilings I gave you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We should probably thank our listeners.
Thank you so much. You are what keeps us going.
Coffee is what keeps me going. America runs on not Dunkin'. Because they're not sponsoring us.
If they did,
Oh my God, Duncan, we would love to be sponsored by
I would
you.
love to be. Just give me free coffee.
Please.
I'll take that.
Please
I'll
contact
take
us.
your avocado toasts.
I haven't had that yet.
Just make your own.
Mm-mm.
Can you get the
It's not
option
hard.
without bacon? Like that's
Yeah,
that's
you
a-
can. You can get it without bacon.
I should
I'll say,
try
I
it.
didn't know. I was say I like to put the avocado on it. Well, first get the toast, butter the toast, then put your avocado on. Then you put some finishing salt, black pepper, and either like a little bit of garlic. Or the everything bagel seasoning. That shit is good on that.
You had me
Listen.
at butter.
Yeah, but butter it first. Get a little extra fat, a little extra flavor, and then you put your avocado on, and then your various seasonings. I'll do spicy with some garlic, or I'll do the everything bagel seasoning. Oh, that's some good shit.
All right. Now we do recipes at Ideas All Day Podcast.
If you have any recipes you would like to share with us, you can contact us at ideasallday.podcast@gmail.com. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, Stitcher, Anchor. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page. We are available on Instagram at Ideas All Day Podcast. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
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 Bye.